Hi,
Hi.
maybe you can shortly introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Tomomi Adachi, and I say I'm a performer composer primarily, but also I say I'm a sound poet because many of my works really connected with the sound of language, and also sometimes I'm working with visual art.
And what is for you a good musical composition?
Uh, I cannot say particular about the music or composition, but the reason I really like to see the performance, for example, or why I go to museum or why I want to go to concert. The reason is I want to see the possibility of another world, or I want to see the universe. Maybe very, very classic idea, but I want to watch this world exists. I know, but I want to watch another world. Maybe the future, for example, but even the past. And I want to see the possibility how we can go to another place. It's very general answer, I guess.
And maybe you can you just give some example of last performances which had you this feeling that you went into some other world?
I mean, the last performance by
Yes.
myself or
No.
okay.
Okay, what you see, right? What
No.
you see.
Okay. For example, okay, what was because it's another problem is I don't see it's a negative statement. Actually, recently I feel I don't find so much interesting things happening in this world. But for example, let me think. For example, it was maybe 1 year ago. It's about music and composition. So I saw the performance of Ustovorskaya. Olga Ustovorskaya? No, not Olga. I forgot her name. But Ustovorskaya, And of composition number two by Patricia Kovacinskaya. And it was something totally I understand. I know her music, and yes, I like her music, but okay, Galina Usoborskaya. But it's something still sounds like it is coming from another world or something the outer space. And it is I could understand some part, but still I find some part totally I don't understand and why this person made such kind of music. And that is really something hope for me. And it's of course it's I have some taste like that really intense sound and repetitive sound. And I like it. Yes, it is true, but it's even beyond my taste. So I felt something I don't know still, and that is a hope. And this is a reason I want to make music and I want to listen to music.
Hmm. And how would you describe your own music?
Describe. Okay, I like because I'm doing a lot of things, and particularly I use many media, different media, and even not I don't need to use sound. But sound is somehow it's easier for me. And what I'm doing is, I want to try the potential of this world and the potential of art. And, I watch many things. Okay, sometimes I find, okay, nobody does it. I should do it. And maybe this can, through this way, maybe I can approach to the universe. Yeah, I feel it's a too much romantic idea, but something to the universe, and maybe I can see the future, which I don't know. And this kind of always practice and trial to the universe, to the future. It is my music. I wish.
Yes. You said several things, right? You said that you are multimedia or intermedia composer. I don't know which is you are more more identify yourself with intermedia or multimedia composer.
Okay, I say I'm intermediate composer because intermediate. This idea is came from Dick Higgins of Fluxus, and it's I'm, for example, I use video image, but video image as music, and even I can use the sound as a part of a visual art. It's this kind of, it's one media has another aspect, and I'm very curious about that aspect.
Hmm. And then you said that you are a performer as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And so you are mostly perform your pieces, or
Not really, not really. It's something, it's just by chance. If someone asks me to perform by myself, I perform by myself. And if someone, especially the case of compose to other people, I need commissions. But if someone asks me, okay, it's not the same thing. I perform my own piece and I write the piece some other people can perform. And it is something what I cannot do.
and what trigger you to be performer of your own pieces?
Sorry, say again?
What trigger you to be
Trigger.
performer? Yes, of your own
Uh-huh.
pieces, right?
Because it's some aspect of music, it is easier that I perform by myself. It's just one reason. And also, I really like kind of intense performance. And to put the intensity, sometimes I cannot say to other contemporary classical musicians, repeat it 1,000 times. I cannot say that, but I can say that to myself. And sometimes I really need to repeat 1,000 times. And yes, it is somehow, yes, the reason I perform by myself.
And what triggered to start composing intermediate compositions? How it started
Because
and why?
yes, it's more like came from the idea of sound poetry. Okay, of course, it is really related with why I perform by myself, because I started to compose and write no conventional ways, composition. I started from that, but soon I started play by myself, and I tried many instruments. But later I figured that the voice is the best thing because everyone has a voice. And then if I start to think about voice, actually I was not interested in so much about the singing, but the phonemes or something extended speech. I was fascinated with that idea. And then I found the tradition of sound poetry. And sound poetry is exactly, it's one of intermediate because it is intermediate between music and poetry, literature. And okay, this is actually quite great reams, and not so many people are doing it, and still I have many things I should do. And also, for example, my visual works also really connected to literature because it's usually based on characters or letters, and this is also intermediate. And the traditional sound poetry, visual poetry are really the beginning of intermediate experiment for me. And okay, so even I can extend it. Yes, and there is a lot of interesting reams, disciplines are still there.
Yes, yes, and what let's understand, right, is that you use heavily text and you rely heavily on the text, right?
Yeah, text. If you say text, yes, means usually it doesn't has any meanings. it is a concept of sound poetry. It's about its sound-oriented text and meanings. Sometimes it has, but essentially it's not so important for me.
Yes, got it.
But you say it's text, yes.
So for you, it's more important speech, right? Act of
Yeah, kind of, yes.
act of saying something, right?
Yes, exactly. But it's issue is the focus is not what I say. For example, it's the focus is why you find something, why you receive something, even message.
Yes.
This process is the most important part for me.
Yes. So it's,
and what is message is not interesting for me.
Yes. So it's basically it's some kind of open text, right? So that I can I can find my message if
exactly.
if I'm inclined to find. If I'm not inclined, I cannot. It's up to me.
It's simply it's like the experience you listen to the foreign language which you don't understand at all, but still you find something, and even you understand it is a language and why, and this kind of process is connected to the voice and the communication.
And can you just explain why you are so fascinating, or how this fascination with that particular speech or speech act, how it started, and why you're still very fascinated with that?
Because especially if I talk about the medium as a voice as a medium, actually also even I can explain the musical side, because some experimental music history is very important for me. Like, okay, start with John Cage, but the next Christian Wolff and Cornelius Cardew, and they were thinking that something music anyone can make. And still, I believe it. I believe this possibility. So music is something everyone can make. And if we are lucky, or actually still, I wish we could change world, but it's anyway, any case. So voice is the easiest medium for everyone, because it's essentially it's music started from singing probably, and still we are doing it. And also speech, if you don't play any music, still you make speech, and all people doing it. And I want to start from it, and this is why idea of speech is so important for me.
Got it. And right, you have experience. You said that you started in very conventional. So you started in very conventional, let's say, in sound only, right? With sound only composition, and then you start doing multimedia, and now you are more identify yourself with intermediate composition. What is the biggest difference, right, when you compose sound only piece and when you compose intermediate piece?
Actually, even I don't deny the possibility of just the right conventional way, but it's for me it's just not enough. And actually, it is kind of a graduation for me. It's not essentially different thing, because for example, still I'm writing music on the paper, not on the paper, on the computer, of course, and it conventional notation system, I'm not talking about the graphic score, right? Just conventional Western style notation. Still, it has some visual aspect. And if you focus on it, it is intermediate. And for me, it's graduation, and everything is actually connected. And I cannot say what is the big difference. Actually, for me, it's quite similar thing. And just the difference is which part you are focused on.
Got it. Can you just give example of that? You said, right, is the differences on which part you focus on? right? This is the difference you said, right? As I understand.
Yeah, yes,
Can
yes,
you
yes,
give
yes.
some kind of example from your pieces and from your practices?
I don't know if it is a really good example, but so, for example, I'm using sensor system, and it's capture my movement, and but always says also this is a kind of extension of my speech, because I'm talking now and I'm trying to communicate with you, and now actually my hand is moving like this, and this is not usually, you think this is not part of speech, but actually it is working something here. And
Yes,
if I say that this is an extension of speech, this is totally visual thing, and even you don't find any meanings, but this, if you really focus on this visual image, it is kind of a dance, but also part of speech. So I'm working with this field.
right.
It's, and for example, if I use a sensor and capture the movement of my hand and modify my voice, okay, some piece, I'm doing it many times, and this is, you extend the idea and clarify what is happening now, and then you cannot decide this is a speech or this is a dance or it is music or something other things, and but it is something still,
Yes,
and
yes,
I'm curious about this moment.
yes. Got it. It's a moment when it's hard to distinguish, right?
Yeah.
Got it. And no, I saw uh, on your own homepage, on your own website,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and you have a list of compositions which you have created,
Yeah.
and then they're grouped in quite a thematic way. And I
Yeah.
noticed that you have at least two topics. You have one is concept art, and
Uh-huh.
second is
Uh-huh.
science specific pieces. Can you just explain um, how you started and why you are interested and why you write concept music
Okay.
and how you,
Because
by the way, how you understand, right, what is concept music, right?
okay, so but I had to say, so you found these two big topics, but for me it's two of many things. Okay, this is premise. But okay, about when I say conceptual music, it is somehow because I many part of my music is really related to human bodies. And sometimes, okay, I feel some limitation of human bodies. And I want to think about music just totally separate from the body. Actually, it is not really true because the body came back later. But it's also actually when I started to make art, also visual art was very important. And conceptual art was important for me. For example, Joseph Kosus made that one chair and one and three chairs. And I was shocked to watch it because it's visually nothing interesting, but you find something behind it. And wow, this is a kind of the way to show the world. And still, I find some possibility in that direction. And if I say conceptual music, it is not really related to my body directly. And also, it is not connected to my own taste and not connected with my physicality, but still we can do it. And it is it's totally intellectual way, and still I find some possibility, but if I do only do it, I feel it's not enough.
Yes.
And I'm doing a lot of things, and important thing is if you see this part, only conceptual music, okay, so I can explain some part, but it is not the whole part of my art. It exists connected with other pieces, for
Yes.
example.
Yes.
And if you talk, okay, so let's talk about site-specific music. And this is actually quite opposite from conceptual music, I feel,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it exists a particular place and you have to go to there, and I compose music a particular place. And yes, and this is actually also it exists in the connection with the conceptual part of myself. And okay, sometimes I really need the music exists only that time, and only you can play this piece here, and this really connected to the particular time, even particular people. Also, that is really important for me, because basically my site-specific pieces, I make them with a particular people, many cases who are living in that place, and they know the place, and they have history, personal history, and how to pick them up inside the composition. It is my work. And also, actually, that part is more connected to maybe the practice of Cornelius Cardew, and make music with particular people. Small, yeah, it could be 100 people, but still it's not abstract audience, not abstract players. It's a particular some people. I want to work with her, I want to work with him, and it is a group. And I need this place, and I see this place, and the place, the site inspires me, and it is important for me. Yes, it's two different things. Yes.
Good. But um, right, as I correctly understand that these two categories, what you said, right? No, what we are
Yeah,
discussing
okay.
is
Yeah.
only some few, right? Only some few,
Mm.
which could be how you would categorize your music, right? Correctly, I understand.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
what could be other categories? How would you? What kind of other categories are? Okay, there are
Yeah,
concept music,
because
site specific.
okay, but you saw my website, and okay, there is some categorization, but it's for me, it's just for convention to how to write down on website. And actually, I don't distinguish so much about it. But for example, if I say the collective improvisation is really important for me. It is a
Yes.
big part of my activity. And but also, it has a conceptual part. And also, for example, I did the improvisation project with Jennifer Walsh, and we worked with telepathy
Mm-hmm.
and try to make an improvisation with telepathy. And
Yes.
we didn't hear each other. We couldn't, but make a recording. And after each session, so we overlap, we mix our performance and we listen to it and then discuss what happened. And you can say that this is conceptual music, but at the same time, this is really practice and
Yes.
improvisation practice.
Yes.
And each category is actually it's somehow always overlapped. And
Yes.
but it's some part of this category is really opposite to some part of other categories. And I
Got
can
it.
this thing I can say categorize, but it's not so important for me. And each
Got it.
practice is just important.
Got it. So, all right, there are composers, right, which let's say focus on their, I don't know, on the signature, but they just let's say they're developing some way of composing, and then they're improving, and then there are some composers, right,
Yeah.
which let's say trying to reinvent or each work completely different, so that if you would see several works of them, you say, okay, it's very hard to find some common things. You are more
But
in that, or
I think, you know, I have some several path street, and it's not unlimited actually, unfortunately. Maybe I can say 10 or 15 lines I recognize, but sometimes it's cross, and yeah, it is just a normal way for me. And also I had to point out maybe it is came from my education, because I didn't have any professional musical education at all. And okay, but I can compose, I can write, even harmony, I can do that.
Yes.
And but it's for me, it's everything I can do because I don't have any technique. I don't know anything. It's probably it is one reason. And also, even when I started, I'm very curious about, for example, still, yes, and Stravinsky, for example, okay, he is a different way because he changed, and I don't change. Always, I do many things in parallel. But actually, there is some focus in these 10 years more. I focus on this, and this 5 year more focus on this direction.
Got it.
Actually, there is some tendency. Yes.
Got it. And if you write your as I understand, you're born in Japan, right?
Sorry.
You are
Say again?
from Japan, right?
Yes. Yes.
You're
Yeah. Yeah.
born there, and then
Yeah.
you move
Yeah.
to Europe,
Yeah.
and and you have and you have been living in Berlin as well, right?
Yeah.
So, and my question is, let's imagine just alternative, right? Just it's
Mm.
like more, let's say, uh, imaginative exercise. If you
Okay.
would your music would be different if you would born uh, and live all your time in Berlin without this Japanese locality?
I agree. Yes. I think so. Yes.
And what then? Can you just imagine or just describe what this fact that you're born and live in Japan? What how it shaped, right? How it shaped you?
Because unfortunately, I can live only one life at this stage. I cannot say so much, but you know, it is, for example, so I had been in Berlin 10 years, and it was a great time. Only I had a big enemy called the German bureaucracy, but okay, it exists. And then, for example, in the society in Germany in general, its art has a really high position, and people admit if I say artist, that was great. That was great. And Japan is not like that. And art exists outside society. And actually, still, okay, maybe if I was born in Germany and grew in Berlin, it would be great. But still, I feel I'm luckier. I came from outside and I know both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so maybe it's better to have many worlds. And yes, I don't. Yeah, I feel because also, you know, if you are born in Germany and you don't have a big reason to go out, and maybe as an artist, you know only one society. But because I was born in Japan, I had a really big reason. I left once, and this is why I know two different worlds. Also, I was not so long time, but I know somehow the states and how art is working, how society it is. And to be, yeah, and to be artist, actually, it is essential thing. You objectify your society and where you are born and your culture. You really need to watch outside the culture. And okay, the born in Japan, it was not so bad thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, got it. And just one more, right? Second, imaginative
Okay.
imagination exercise. Let's imagine you're born in Japan, but you didn't go to Berlin, and you still would be in Japan. How then would your music be different?
Yes, I didn't wish it. Okay, I cannot say that because yes, but in general, I was basically in Japan until 10 years ago. And yes, I had a big many frustrations, of course. But at the same time, for example, not now, but I was living in Tokyo, and Tokyo is still quite interesting place. Maybe more I focus on underground culture because it's what we see in underground in Tokyo is it is overground in Berlin. Still, they call them
Yes.
underground, but it's all more overground. And it's difficult question because yes, but I'm sure it's less interesting my life and less interesting my music.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe the last one, the last question from imagination of our top series. Just
Okay.
let's imagine a situation that you were born in Japan, you want to compose, but you're born as a female.
Uh-huh.
How would be different your career and how would be different your music?
Okay, so I'm not so sure about many people agree it, but it doesn't change so much, I guess, because in Japan the art exists outside the society. And okay, the Japanese society is a terrible misogyny society, but art world, maybe so much. Yes, actually it is a good thing. And also, for example, so I have a female name, actually, and this is actually okay. So because it's artist name and I have a female name, and really the beginning of my career, I tried to play with that issue, the
Yes.
gender issue, and okay, it was a beginning. It was a story of 1990s, and not so many people doing it. And actually, it is quite interesting issue, but probably if I was born in female artist, probably it's quite similar, quite same, I guess.
And how
Actually, very interesting question. Very interesting question. Yes.
and what is your ways of composing? How you start, right? And what kind of stages you go through?
Stage? Socially
Stages? No,
or?
no, no stages. Your way of composing, right? There is some
Yeah.
usually there should be some kind of starting point, right? And
Yeah.
then let's say there is a premiere, right, of the
Yeah.
piece. And
Yeah.
what is your way, right? How much it usually takes time, and what is what stages you go through usually? What is like typical stages?
The process of composing.
Yes, yes.
Okay, the first step is receive a commission. Okay, and and usually I read books or because it's it's each composition has some context. I like to build context. And this part is the most interesting part and really necessary. Usually I read books and also I learn something. Means not particularly about music usually. Yeah, but I cannot say it's in general because all the pieces are very different. Yeah, and actually, for example, now I'm writing string quartet. Yes, and this is I had to finish 1 month,
Yes.
and yes, actually 1 month is already somehow 10-15 minutes piece. 1 month is maybe shorter than other people, but when I really start to write down notes, and 1 month is quite normal pace. Is it
Yes.
something answer for your
Yes.
question?
So, but you start
Yeah.
already with writing scores. So music is something there, or you just, as you said previously, you start with
Ah,
research, then you have some conception. I don't know, some
yeah,
kind of idea.
yeah.
Maybe then you write this idea, but not as a music material. Maybe you draw some drawings and then you make a scores, or it could be that music is already in your mind, and you need just to write and then correct and write and correct. How it works with you?
No, in general speaking, I don't have any audible image, no sound image. And I start from some really tiny concept normally, some idea, or I make some rules.
Yes,
It is fast, and sometimes I start really systematically, and the system betray me, and okay, I hate it, I will change it. It's kind of a process of like that. And I'm not the person like Mozart, so I don't have any image before
yes,
the composition.
yes. It's basically right. Some research stage.
Yeah.
Then you from the research stage you build the rules or some kind of concept which is
Yeah.
music, um, embodied, or let's say with some musical rules, right? And then you start creating scores, or
Yeah.
musical material,
Mhm,
or
mhm.
adding some visuals and etc. And then you just going through, right? Just seeing if rules works or not, and then you
Yeah,
adjusting those,
yeah, yeah.
and then you just write it and give to musicians.
Yeah.
And looking back, right? Looking back, because 10 years is very interesting for your in your life, because in 10 years ago, as I understand, you moved to Berlin, right?
Yeah.
How your music changed since?
Because okay, so okay, it's also quite a big problem in Japan. Is I was feeling kind of isolation because okay, there is a good improvisers in Tokyo, and also new music scene. It's not so interesting, but also it's say academic new music scene. It's not interesting everywhere. And but anyway, so after I moved to Berlin, and first I got the grant from DAD and artist in Berlin, and artist in Berlin residency program, and I was really lucky. And I spent okay the first half year, and I met many interesting people who are they really don't distinguish improvisation and the new music world, classical new music world, and they can go each other. Okay, still there is some separation, but it was great. And I thought I finally found it is really I can have my colleagues and discuss with them. Okay, just to play with them. That was amazing, amazing. Yes.
Yes, and how this how it changed your music? Can you just look back?
Because
Music
it's
before Berlin and music after Berlin.
Yeah, I was feeling I felt it's so many people, many things are allowed. Okay. Permissions. Okay, so even I didn't feel okay when I was in Tokyo, I didn't feel I need to get some permissions, but in Berlin, rather I yeah, it's existence, it's my friend. Many people can share my idea. It's really pushed me. That was great. Push means okay, I can do that, but I can go further.
Yes,
And I should do that. Yes, it was
yes.
amazing. It was amazing.
Your music become more braver, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
your music become more braver because you have more colleagues around you, right?
Yeah, it was my impression. Yes.
And you said about sensors, right? And what other technologies you are using?
For example, I was working a lot with AI, artificial intelligence, last 4 years, something like that.
And do you code on your own or
AI
yeah.
is not, so I cannot do it. I couldn't do it. So I built up some project team in Berlin for
Yes.
that project. Yes, but normally, for example, I use Max MSP or when I use Arduino ESP32, I code by myself. But AI is not my thing.
Yes, but this means that you can code, as I understand, right? You can and you code on Max, right? And
Yes.
and you can do something on Arduino on your own, right? You can
Yes, I
put
can.
all the devices, program
Yeah,
some easy software for them.
yeah.
And what is right? Looking back, right? When you came, because it's when you came as well as to the Berlin. How these technologies impact your music? Because right,
Berlin.
yes, maybe like Berlin, particularly because it was the case in the time when you said that you are in Berlin and doing the
Yeah,
AI,
but
but in general, right?
technology-wise, Japan is a great place actually. You know, when, for example, to make some sensor system gadget, actually, I tried to buy everything in Japan because it's cheaper and many options. Okay, Berlin is not a great place.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, but you are somehow right. Your music somehow reflects or uses these emerging technologies, sensors, AI, and etc.
Yeah.
So you have some kind of curiosity, or how it comes, right? That you are so much influenced or so much triggered by technology.
Because technology is somehow still, it's to be honest, read the news of technology is more interesting than to read the news of art, because it is still, it has some energy, and it's continuously open science and technology. It's continuously open our eyes. This part, yes, I'm quite sure. Art is now, it is getting weaker, unfortunately. I need to change it. I know, but yes, in general, the development of technology is actually simply is amazing. If you see, okay, AI, okay, I'm using computer always, and I'm right, even, just to make music, I use computer, and I cannot deny it. And it has already, and now the AI, internet changed the world. Now the AI is changing the world. We cannot deny it, and it's actually, they are very inspiring for me.
Got it. Got it. And what is your composer fear, or what you fear the most as composer?
Sorry, fear.
Fear, yes. Afraid.
Fear,
Afraid.
afraid.
Yes, afraid. What things you are afraid the most being composer?
Something I should afraid?
I don't know. For example, right? I just imagine if I would be very technological person, I would and being composer, I would usually afraid of, okay, will my system works, or I would be a little bit always stressed in my work premieres, right? Maybe, or maybe I will be feared that there will be days and nobody will want to listen to my music and get commissions. What is I don't know, what is what you are fearing of?
Yeah, because in general, I'm afraid a lot of things, but in my life as a person, and it is nothing to do with to be composer. Everyone has something they have fears, and I don't think it is something particularly for composers.
So
No, I have no idea.
so composing is like your safety or safe haven, right?
Yeah, actually,
It's a
yes,
territory
actually.
when you feel secure and
Because it's actually okay, it's really personal side, but I'm a person really worry many things. But actually, okay, as a performer, and not as a composer, but as a performer, if I'm on the stage, I don't worry anything because I know I can manage. Yes, it is really safety, but also it's safe, but at the same time, it is a place I can take a risk.
yes, yes, got it, got it. And why do you still compose?
Because it is necessary for myself and for the world, I guess. Because it is something like rather okay, composing is not really my word. It's to make art. Okay, so it's more I can talk properly. I feel because
Yes.
you know if you are watching the world, that is some I feel some void because why this part is missing in this just you know you watch the world why this part is missing and I feel I don't say the god but it's someone is calling me I should do that and it is yeah it's I feel it's a mission actually and sometimes even I feel someone try to do something through me even not my intention sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. And now some questions about let's say contemporary art music in
Mm-hmm.
Japan. Um,
Okay.
how how um, how it changed, right? During this century, right? During this
Yeah.
22 years, what kind of changes you observe, right? How contemporary art music scene changed in Japan
So after 2000.
after 2000?
Yes. Okay. So it's because many also maybe it's include me because many people studied. I didn't study it in Europe. Just I was active in Europe, but it's actually many young composers studied in Europe. It's somehow quite new. And a lot of people were brought. It's the same thing from Europe, and actually now Europe is European art music scene is quite open. I have to say because for example, I cannot say it was open in 1960s, for example. It's they focus only one thing, one or two things, you know, cluster or 12 tone system and total series. But it's now it's many things are out. And this is a quite big change after 2000 because it's a lot of things. It's become quite open it's quite become quite open. But also I cannot talk about what other people thinking because actually you know I don't know so much about the last 10 years because I was not here. And because for example it's financially it's still extremely difficult. It's not like Germany. It's I have no idea how classical contemporary art composer can survive as a composer. Maybe nobody can do it. And this situation is the same, but it's I feel some more interesting, more different things and diversities. That's
Yes.
also quite good, quite good.
Yeah, but what you said about diversities, what do you mean? It
Sorry.
more you said diversity increase, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yes.
in what way, right? I don't know. It's more
Because it's the
multimedia,
direction.
or it's different
Yeah,
styles, or
yeah,
different
it's
techniques, or different
yeah,
influences.
different styles. Yes, yes, because it's more like if I remember the contemporary classical music in 1990s, it's more like leftover is very vogue. The copy of Takemitsu. I listen to such kind of music many times, but still it exists. But it's more now. It's more open.
More open. Okay.
Open. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, to more open to different influences, to
Yes.
technologies,
Exactly. Exactly.
different
Exactly.
cultures. It's become
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
mixture, and more
Yeah. Yeah.
more individualities, less schools.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. I believe.
and and how audience change.
Is there audience here?
That's a good question. Is there audience, right? Maybe only all musicians is only audience.
Yeah, it's a really difficult situation. I cannot say so much about how audience is here. Because it's very limited. And for example, okay, talk about Berlin, for example. Is a Berlin okay? People say it's always the same people, but it's if you were there 3 years, it's a lot of many different people coming, and many people left, and it's always changing. And that kind of dynamics. So, for example, Tokyo doesn't have it, unfortunately, because its border is really closed. Okay, because the last 3 years because of COVID, but for the future, it's immigrants.
Yes.
Already, Japanese government reject immigrations, and this is one reason. Okay, it's always the same people, and of course, it's younger people coming, and actually, it's true. Some foreign student, they study in Japanese conservatories, but still I'm not so sure how it is changing and how the situation. I have no idea.
And who usually are coming to contemporary classical music concerts in Tokyo? Who are visitors, right?
Who are they? I don't know because I know many of them. And they are composers and students and some music lovers. Yes, some
But
they exist, of course. But
okay,
it's quite same people. Yes.
got, got it, got it. And and right, one thing is how it changed, right, in the past 22 years, but where you see where it heading, right, where it goes, what are main trends?
The word what?
Yeah.
Who?
Contemporary art music scene in Japan, where it goes, what are
Uh-huh. Okay, first thing, it's really I cannot talk about I'm not representative of Japanese contemporary art music because even many people think I'm quite far, I'm outsider. Because for example, I'm working a lot with improvisers and contemporary art music composers in Japan. I know, or maybe only a few other people, one or two people were also improvise.
yes,
And that's all. It's really, really exceptional. And still, I feel many people should do that, but
yes.
they don't. And I have no idea where they would go. I'm quite pessimistic about it. But for example, my case, okay, I get back to Japan, but this year, main part of my activity happens in the outside Japan.
Yes.
Yes, it's true, it's true. And also, if I do it many some big project, for example, last year, what the biggest project in Japan was a part of a visual art festival, not in the context of music. And this, I cannot say anything of course, it exists because some people need it. I wish they really merged with particularly improvised music scene in Japan because it's so rich, no audience, but very, very rich. Musical quality is very high, and they should merge with them. But yes, and I'm trying to do that. But you know, I have no idea what happens next.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And what is the role of contemporary classical music or contemporary art music in Japan society?
There is no role. What is the role of art in the society?
And in Japan, I don't know.
No, because I'm asking you. Because it's in general, art should have some role because it's important thing is it is useless, and you can see something, another world through it. It is a role of art. But if you say the contemporary classical music, art music in Japan, I'm skeptical, but now it's not necessary to limit its, say, Japan.
Yes.
Probably, I wish, because it's many young people, they studied Europe. I wish also we should make some connection with other Asian countries. Maybe just I don't know so much about it, but it is very important for us, I'm sure, and to make something new thing together. I wish.
Yes. Okay. And the last question: what would be your free advices to young, let's say, Japanese composers who just started music? What would be your free advices to young, let's say, Japanese composers who just starting their career?
Okay. Japanese means living in Japan?
Yes.
Not necessarily to be Japanese?
Not Japanese, but living in Japan.
Living in Japan. Okay, let me think. One name is Akiko Yamane. Maybe you know Akiko Yamane. And another name, Kim Yohan. He is Korean but living here. One other name. Haha. Maybe some people blame me later.
Yes. No, sorry. I somehow, I think I didn't correctly say. My question was, what would be your advice?
Okay.
To composers, to very young composers who living in Japan. Your free advice, what you learn as being composer, and you would say, okay, I would say you these three things, and these three things, or these three advices may somehow you may benefit from them, right?
Yes, these two names, so I mentioned, they are great, and also Yudai Bando. Yes, he's amazing. Yes. Yeah. Okay, three names. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.